Okay, well, we do have a quorum, so let's go ahead and begin. Rao, are you ready to give the tech update?
Yes, I am. Basically, in terms of the releases, we're still running 0.10.2 on the mainnet. I already talked to what it has in the previous week, so I'm not going to repeat that. But in terms of the block merge version, we did do more testing. And I said last week that we were trying to get that up on all the testnet nodes. There were a couple issues that we discovered with that. One is a memory issue, meaning the thing that was fixed in the 0.10.2, there seems to be some incompatibility, but we're working with that. But there is also there is a change that needs to be done to the proposed script. Particularly some error reporting in the proposed script is giving the wrong error code, throwing things off. So as we speak, Tomislav is in the process of fixing that and then getting out the release, next release of block merge alpha. I think it'll be probably called alpha 2. That will be going on the testnet for sometime this week. So again, to repeat partly repeat and emphasize what our strategy with block merge testing is, to get the portions of block merge that don't need the hard fork moving on to the mainnet. So that's the reason why testing this version on the testnet, the current testnet, and then figuring out whatever needs to be done, whatever needs to be fixed, identifying any issues and fixing those is part of that path. And there is a separate pathway for the version of the block merge that removes the channel map, and that would be tested on testnet 2. And Gurinder is in the process of setting up testnet 2 for that. But I want to speak to the block merge version where the tasks are. So if you go to the project, you'll see that there are quite a few tasks here. I think you're able to see my cursor, I hope.
Yes.
So you'll see that there are a lot of things in here in review. So that needs to be completed for these tasks to move on to be merged into the code base and then go on to the next version. One of the main things here is this getting these branch merges completed and resolving any issues that deal with that. And then there's also this fix in here, but that's related to the channel maps, removing channel maps for the single parent. So that'll lead to the other version of block merge that I was talking about. So there is a lot of this that's really just cleanup that and review of the cleanup that needs to be completed. One of the things that is in progress right now is Tomislav is adding a minimal debugger for Roland channels to source code, and that is needed for NutZipper to fix this false positives during the conflict detection. So this task is moving, and when both of these are done, of course, this has to be done first, and then this can proceed. So that's kind of where we are. And then there are a bunch of other issues like this per validator DAG view and things like that are being worked on. Now, this is, of course, the to-do list. And most of these are really enhancements, performance improvements, things like that. A few of them are bugs that need to be resolved, like I just talked about. This list at this point is increasing, but that's nothing unusual. Whenever you have a new feature, it's natural that you discover more things getting into this list. Eventually, they'll all get cleared out. So I just want to explain where we are with block merge. So overall, the team is making very good progress with that. And you will see multiple small releases coming out over the next weeks, both on testnet, the main testnet, which is the pathway to the mainnet, and then the testnet too. So that's where we are with that. So that's one stream of work. Then there's another stream of work going on. The block merge is the main stream of work, if you want to look at it that way. There's another stream of work going on to prepare for the first hard fork. And Will has been working on that. The first hard fork is about carrying forward balances without prior state. And he had done a balances, he has done that code for transferring the balances. And I think it's going through reviews right now. So it should be available for public to view the balances in a short time. But in terms of priorities, that's a second priority after block merge. But it's something work stream wise, it's something that's running in parallel a little bit at this point in time. We should be getting to that soon though. The other thing is this testnet 2, which is where we're going to be testing the version of block merge without the channels map. And to do that, because we're going to be getting the performance numbers off of that, we have to create a version of the transaction server on there. I mean, currently we're not running, at the moment on testnet 2, there is no transaction server. We have a few nodes going, and Gurinder is still in the process setting that up. But we will also have to set up the transaction server over there to be able to do that. In that realm of the transaction server and the reporting server, one of the new tasks that we identified this morning is that Will is going to look at compressing the database for the reporting server. So it's a lower priority task, but it's on his list of to do. And then we will get that in when we're ready with that. So those are different streams of work that is going on. And what is in planning separate from these two different things? I talked about the block merge progress as to how that's going to be. I talked about the hard fork 1, what is going on there. There is a separate stream of planning activity coming up to really look at what may be the performance improvement opportunities. I don't think it's still too early for us to discuss details of that at this point in time, but perhaps in a week or two, we will be able to speak more to the activities that we're planning there. So that's if you would, that's the third stream of work that the team is engaged in. So that, I think, is all I wanted to say on the tech update. Are there any questions, comments, concerns? All right, I'll turn the floor over to Greg.
Thank you, Rao. I'm excited about the progress. This kind of work is complex technically, and I'm just very thrilled by the way that team is approaching it. It's really good. The board met yesterday, and that was the official April board meeting, not a special board meeting. There was a vote taken, so the board approved an MOU between Daasl and the co-op. The MOU is non-binding, but it basically sketches out a framework for how the two companies would treat IP. Just so that people understand, there's there are several pieces of software that sit above the core chain. For example, RChat, that could be used as plugins or services that could extend like RChat, for example, is a nice service that could be used to extend some other dApp that might need a chat. And so there should be some revenue stream or some kind of licensing agreement between a dApp and the co-op if they want to use that software, which is properly not the chain itself, but something that sits above the chain. And so the framework that we sketched out is a sales model. So if, let's say that Alice has done a great maps, the decentralized maps, and Daasl is courting Alice to develop her maps application on the Daasl layer so that she can expand her user base by offering free service to those who are willing to accept sponsored content. So maybe Alice is leaning in that direction, but is a little bit hesitant. But then Daasl says, "Oh, and by the way, I think your maps would be greatly improved if you had a chat service, and we can give you a automatic chat feature to add to your dApp via RChain." And so Alice, that tips the balance for Alice. She says, "Yeah, I really do need a chat feature or chat function with this map service. So yeah, I'll go with you guys." And so then Daasl has facilitated the licensing agreement with RChain. So if there is a revenue stream associated with that, then Daasl would take a sales commission of that revenue stream. That's sort of the framework that was sketched out in the MOU. So it's a lot. It's relatively complex to describe. It's actually not as challenging to understand as it is to describe in English. Any questions about that? Okay. All right. The rest of the board meeting was largely informational. I would like to congratulate Steve Ross Talbot, who's kicking it up a notch. He's not only a board member, but he's going to join the team officially to drive the COVID passport solution to a full data sovereignty identity solution. So we're very excited about that. So he's going to help us identify some additional development resources and help us drive out the solution. So we're super excited, and more and more in the news we're finding that there are COVID passports just popping up everywhere. And recently the ACLU published an article suggesting that these COVID passports really ought to be decentralized. So we're trying to reach out to the ACLU to see if they might be able to put us in touch with anyone. But that's a big step in the right direction in terms of public sentiment for the kind of solution that we're offering. Any questions about that? Okie dokie. So tonight is the end of the staking transition period. We've already sent out a good chunk of the staking payouts. We had to do some administrative work before we could complete all of them. But hopefully that's most of the administrative stuff has been handled and that we can complete all of the payouts. The co-op received quite a bit of additional stake. Ian, what was the number total?
Sure. Well, in the past week, members have sent into the staking pool at least 20 million rev. And there's an additional 10 million rev that we're waiting for confirmation just to make sure that the rev is coming from members. So we'll probably end up with a good 25, I'd say, million additionally staked from members into the staking pool.
Yeah, so we paid out about 5 and we took in about 30, so about 25 total.
That's about right. Also, with the board meeting yesterday, there was another housekeeping resolution to do with sweeping out some frozen wallets when we do the next hard fork.
That's correct. Thank you for reminding me. That's exactly right. Yeah. So we talked about that in the closed door session on Friday. So don't have to say too much here, but yes, that resolution will be mentioned in the minutes if you're interested. So I think by my back of the envelope calculations, it looks like we're at about 90 million or so staked, which means that roughly a quarter of what's in circulation is actually out of circulation. So the circulating supply has been reduced considerably because it's all been put into stake. So that will have an impact on availability. So just so people who are interested in acquiring Rev, they should know that a lot's been taken off the exchanges or out of general circulation and put into stake. Let's see, what else have we got to cover? I feel like that's a lot already, but any Rao, Steve, any other things that we needed to cover? I guess there's the community and review. Yeah, that's right. Is Darryl around?
Yep, I'm here. Okay,
go for it.
Okay, so here's the community week in review for Thursday, April 1st to today, April 7th. On Thursday at the governance committee, Jim showed some liquid democracy developments. Also on Thursday at the DApp developer working group, they developed local host development process walkthrough document. On Friday at the climate coordination call, we discussed the Biden administration's new investments in climate and job growth via an expansion of offshore wind technology, as well as the use of coffee pulp to accelerate the growth of depleted forests, which led to a discussion on agrology. We also had a conversation about NFTs, artists, and the environment, and an article from RChain community member Lancy about RChain and the future of the evolution of NFTs. On Saturday, in the RChat call, we created first validator for robot community-run shard. On Monday at the Casper Stand-Up, this week's Casper Stand-Up covered incorporating ZK in the applied Pi calculus to prove protocols using ZK correct. Also on Monday at the Rev member co-op planning, sent 1,000 robot revs to RChain registered voters. On Tuesday at the communications working group, we had a discussion with Raphael around the DAPI name system. I reported back on the Climate Chain Coalition's first Zoom meeting of the year that happened earlier that morning. And we discussed bringing in a film director friend to help put together the PR vids. Also, yesterday at the DApp developer working group, they added explore and deploy functions to Discord robot. And this morning at the active member hangout, we discussed new virtual world-based social network projects. I met the people behind Topia.io this morning while perusing their interface. Jim gave a preview of his demo for the debrief. And that brings us to now.
Very nice. Did you want to give us a quick summary of do you or Rao want to talk about the climate the climate organization?
Yeah. It was really inspiring yesterday morning. So it went for about 2 hours, and Masamba, who's a part founder of the Climate Chain Coalition, kind of led the call. He's a brilliant man, works for the UN. It was just inspiring to kind of be in the presence in a Zoom call of, there's about 32 people that attended, and just being in the presence of people from all over the world talking about climate change solutions using blockchain technology. It was just pretty darn inspiring. There's a lot of action in this space, and it's really ramping up. It was interesting. There were some layer 2 projects that were being discussed that were writing on Ethereum, which, you know, I couldn't help but post a little bit in the chat about that, because there's a bit of a contradiction there. But yeah, it was really, really cool. And I made about maybe 5 or 6 contacts that I'm going to follow up with. So
Fantastic. That's really good. Rao, did you have any other data or something to share about that?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I was just listening to and looking at the organizations and what they're doing. There are a couple of blockchain projects, I guess, already involved or with trying to create climate coalitions. I think for RChain, obviously, we can offer them solutions that actually scale and that are low cost. Which is, I think, in many of these cases, they have not yet gotten to recognizing with Ethereum or similar solutions. There might also be an opportunity for us to do a layer 2, climate layer 2, for example, on top of RChain. But that's something that we need to think through and, you know, do a couple of workshops to figure out what we can offer there, so that when these folks, you know, there are a lot of startups or existing companies trying to do climate-oriented solutions on the blockchain. So if we can do something to make it really easy for them to get on that, get on RChain, that would help. And the other reason for doing something like a layer 2 would be because all of these solutions need to be interoperable at some level. And there are a couple of taxonomy type initiatives, climate taxonomy type of initiatives. So there may be an opportunity there for us to bring in those standards and ways of facilitating not only accelerated deployment of the solutions, but also interoperability of the solutions. So those are a few takeaways for me personally from the meeting yesterday.
Very good. Any questions for Rao or Darryl about the Climate Chain Coalition and our involvement? Okay. Well, thanks to all.
There is one question from CM in the chat. He's asking, once staking is open to independent validators, what would be the best way to support the project, to stake with the co-op or with independent validators?
Either one of those is going to be a kind of support. With the when you stake with independent validators, they're getting the revenue stream. But right now, the revenue stream off of that is very tiny, so it's kind of negligible. So, but as long as you're staking with some validator, then you're increasing the security of the network. So that's kind of the most important thing. Stake somewhere. That's the best way. If you want to support the network, you need to stake somewhere.
And talk to your friends about whatever applications they're thinking of or can do, what they can bring onto the chain. That would be the most valuable thing, because that's really what we're going to be focusing on, to both make things easy for developers as well as get the word out as to what our advantages are relative to these other chains where people are basically stuck and are trying to have to rethink and basically do most of their stuff off chain. Many projects are now talking about creating a governance token and an operational token where the operations are not on the chain. I mean, meaning they're doing their own thing for that. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there to attract projects onto a chain that can scale and give them the performance and the low cost transactions.
Okay. Thanks to all. Please stay safe, and we'll see you on the other side.
Bye, everybody.